You know what? If any man decides to roll up on you and go, "Shorty, you know I love you. You my Earth." Okay, if I'm your Earth, then who's Venus? Who's Mars? Who's Saturn in the back? Dennis needs to have several seats. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss Wu-Tang and American Saga Season 3 Episode 4, Daytona 500. Now before we get into all things Dennis and his whack-ass solar system, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss. Come through the block in a brand new Benz, knowing that me and that gang friends. Okay, girl, get him back. Get him back, Shuri. Get him back. We were here from day one, from the beginning. You just supposed to stay home with the baby? We was here when all you had was an Averex jacket and some Timbs to your name. Really, Dennis?
Go back.
Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this episode. Now we start off with our guys getting ready to go on tour for about 3 weeks. Mind you, they just came off of tour as a group. Meth just came off of tour. Like, they are so freaking busy. So busy that we are leaving fresh babies behind. Divine has to leave his baby alive doll behind. Like, y'all couldn't get a real baby for that scene. Like, I was like, put that doll back in the box, please. But he has to leave his fresh baby. And we also have God having to leave his son. We have Dennis leaving Shuri and their baby behind, and we also have her mention his migraines again. She's trying to give him Tylenol. This is maybe the 3rd episode. I feel like we are mentioning him having a headache in some way, so I don't know if that's, a bigger part of something, or if something happened to Dennis later on that had to do with these severe headaches, or maybe him being stressed out, but we do mention them. And then we have ODB over there. I'm like, where is ODB's wife? Where is, his 3 children? Especially when we get into his oldest son, who is really involved with Wu-Tang. Most of the time when they have concerts, he, fills in, does his dad, justice. But here, ODB is just single, just smoking weed, living his best life, and I'm not really sure why we are choosing to omit that part. We also get a lot of interaction from this reporter, and we see in this episode how reporters will, misconstrue what you have to say, and we see Bobby get in trouble with the South later when he was actually speaking on his grandfather. We also get into Method Man having stronger presence in this episode. Was it all of that? Absolutely not, but I will take what I can get at this point. We do have him interacting with the rest of the group members. But with that being said, in this reporter walking around, you really see how he is deciding to interact with every group member. Of course, we are listening to everything that RZA has to say as that producer, the man behind the band. And then we are listening a lot to Method Man. We want to hear everything that ODB has to say. We are really involved with those 3 collectively because they are right now, charting. ODB has released his solo project, and of course Meth has released Takao that is pretty much platinum at this point. But when we get to You God, we are really not giving him a whole lot of attention. And getting into this episode, we really get into how the guys are feeling about their place within the group, whether it's, how often are we rapping on songs, who should be paid more, and who has individual success. But we're going to get into that. But prior to that, we have ODB pressuring this damn reporter like, I ain't saying nothing until you hit this blunt. I was like, don't hit it. He actually smoked it. Like, ODB, I just love all of his charisma. You really feel it through every single scene, even though I still wouldn't have hit that blunt. With all those drugs that were found in ODB's system, PCP, marijuana, coca, what's laced in here? But he smoked it and he was tripping. Now beforehand, it really felt like Bobby missed out on that first tour because he was maybe trying to restore what was lost in the flood. But getting into his interaction here, he don't want to go on tour. He doesn't want anything to do with being on tour, just being in the same element as his group members. Personally, to me, even though Bobby is really forward thinking, he is really intelligent, he is more about, production, about business. If it's not about us making money and getting stuff done, I don't care to talk about it or partake in it. But it's something about his energy in this episode that just gave me like, I'm above this, like I'm better than this, like something about, how he interacts with them, or, their energy in an interview versus RZA. He always seemed to have something profound to say, which is, really incredible. And you can also tell that with him being so business minded, that he is light years as far as maturity when it comes to the group members and his family that he is just trying to distance himself from. So much so that he wants to ride on the separate tour bus that is, for power, divine, strictly for management, and not really interact with them at all. Low-key just feeling like, you about to put me on this bus with all these children? I don't got time for all of this. But I could completely understand where Bobby is coming from on both ends. You do have Divine really trying to play his role as far as management. I need you to get on this tour bus and act just like everybody else. I need you to be a group member, a performer, and a friend. I don't need you to be anything else because, when dust starts to kick up as far as, money being distributed, who's in control, who's doing what, all of the flack will come my way instead of yours. You are too instrumental within this group for them to start to resent you. But this is really when we get the first real glimpse into too many people wearing too many hats and too many chefs being in the Wu-Tang kitchen. Like, if these dynamics were going to be established, it's really hard to do that when Bobby has such an intricate role in getting everybody signed, being such a big part of the deal. So just to have me kind of fall back and be a part of the group, I don't want to do that. Not to mention that Bobby likes to be in control of everything. As we saw in the seasons before and even the first episode from this season, he does not like to delegate. So if you want to be in control, you don't like to delegate, how were you ever just going to be solely a band member? We can't be that anyway, because when some shit pops off and we see who's really making the decisions, as we saw in the episode, we're not going to Divine, we're not going to Mook, we're not going to Power, we are going straight to the source and going to Bobby. But if we wanted Divine to have, more so control, that should have been established way before we ever went on tour, and Bobby shouldn't be as involved on the side of business as he is. But they did so much collectively together to even get Wu-Tang together, get the album, get everything into place for them to be where they are. It's hard now just to tell Bobby, just go sit your ass down in the back of the bus and be a group member. He don't want to do that. Speaking of just going to sit on a tour bus, like, we are really getting into them spending money. Like, I just thought it was so extra anyway for them to have, two buses. Like, wow, y'all really, like, we can't drive the car no more and follow the tour bus. Like, we need a separate bus just for me, Mook, and Power. For what? Speaking of Mook, why is Mook even here? Like, there's just so much unnecessary shit going on that is going to create so much chaos within the group. Now, we do understand from the last season that Mook was instrumental as far as getting them into that certain club that one time. And it's just like, oh yeah, B, we need you on our team. Like, I understand the whole dynamic of, uplifting each other and bringing everybody with me. We can all get this money. Not only do we have Power being instrumental as far as Wu-Wear and getting everything published, getting the Wu-Wear into local stores and selling things on tour, but we have Mook, who is here to be a promoter and collect money, something that Divine could definitely do. Like, now I do know that we were made to be aware last season that Mook names, it kind of rings through the streets, so maybe he could get them into certain locations that they wouldn't be able to get into on their own. But at the time that he made that happen for them getting into that club, they really didn't have a name for themselves. They were coming up. We are all the way up here now. There is no reason for Mook to be there to collect any money. Like, if we need somebody to collect and promote, we have two people, Divine and Power, who can do that. Not only are we collecting, but we are collecting additional money on the side. As to say, if you sold some extra tickets, yeah, let me get that. Matter of fact, my guys aren't going on until you give me personally some more money that I'm not going to spread amongst the guys. I'm just going to pocket it on the side because I'm Mook. Hell to the no. I was right here with Dennis and with Ray. Like, this is not okay. But this is what happens when we are trying to incorporate and bring everybody up with us. Not only Mook, but Master Killer is on tour also. And just like Ray, my head was cocked to the side also. What is this nigga doing here? Like, now, of course, if you are a fan of Wu-Tang, you are a fan of Master Killer. Verses are fire, but the way that they went about just kind of incorporating him into the group, the last time we saw him, I believe it was episodes 1 and 2, and he is just kind of there lingering. We don't really see him interacting very much with the group musically, but at this point we come to realize, oh, he was on 2 songs, so I just feel like he should be on the road getting paid what everybody else is getting paid. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Who was here when we signed those contracts? When you have Mook here, when you have a Master Killer here, that makes every single cut that you split between us evenly a little bit smaller. Not only that, but this is Bobby yet again. Bobby as well as Divine making decisions for the group, about the group financially and who is going to be there without discussing it with anybody first. I don't care what was said and what was done on your part when you made that promise to us, had us sign those contracts when we were, working on that very first Wu album. We were here and we made certain decisions together. Now you are switching it up the same way we went about, not telling Dirty about the Def Jam Electra situation. We are not communicating anything, and it is bound to create resentment, chaos, attitudes, and eventually have you strapped for funds. And on top of that, there was absolutely no shortage of niggas who could rap in this group. Like, everybody was constantly bringing their A game. Everybody was a phenomenal, lyricist, some more than, others, but they all brought something special collectively to the group. Even though, I love a good Capadonna or a Master Killer, but they were absolutely not necessary. But from my understanding, I feel like RZA and Divine promised them the same deal. You could be a part of the group, and eventually you would have your own individual deal, release your own individual album. So there are promises being made to this, that, and the third. Whereas we have, You God, Spec the Deck, people in the background who have yet to release their own albums, and they are feeling some type of way. But outside of there being way too many people in the kitchen, I feel like they embarked on way too much as far as management in a group way too soon. We should have waited maybe until we released 2, maybe 3 Wu-Tang albums before we embarked on trying to make sure everybody had an individual solo project or a deal. I feel like they would have lasted so much longer with that, but it happens. But we also just get into tour life and get into the guys collectively. I love something as simple as them watching the women from the window, and it was watch these rap niggas get all up in your guts. French vanilla butter pecan chocolate deluxe. Hey, they got their Wu Wear bootleg Wu Wear on, and we just see a lot of fanfare and how much they love the guys. All of this tour life, admiration, fanfare, support, all of this good food. It's just great to see them finally living what they always wanted to live. I even love the forethought of Power, like, oh, y'all bootlegging our shit. Like, okay, well, fine. I'm gonna put you on payroll and you are gonna come and work for me. Side note, I'm like, what you paying them with? Like, there just seems to all of a sudden be so much money to go around. Everybody is just making their own separate decisions, whether we have, Bobby making his own decisions for the group, even though he feels like, it's beneficial interviews, it's stuff that needs to be discussed amongst each other. And then you have Divine that's just kind of on his own wave. Then you have Power, who is trying to look out, for the best interest as far as Wu Wear, I'm putting y'all on payroll. Like, I thought y'all was running low on money, but okay. And then you have Mook that is just kind of low-key there, also looking out for him self. But I also really enjoy the guys getting into tour life, you know, groupies, weed, George Foreman grill and whatnot, dirty being dirty, running around burning with his infamous STDs, like a whole lot of tour fun. Outside of that, just getting into the guys constantly vibing to different types of music. You really see that they are heavily rooted in old school 60s, 70s ballads, you know, soul, delphonics and whatnot. And we really get into that inspiration for low-key all of their debut albums, especially when we get into Dirty's return to 36 Chambers. We get into Iron Man, you know, Daytona 500, all that I got is you. We get into all that funk, all that good soul. Even when we get into Only Built for Cuban Links, there is so heavily influenced by 70s soul. The guys are a whole vibe, especially when they get together. I just love all of their energy, like when it's positive energy. Them coming back to the tour bus and realizing Eeyore has been using that goddamn George Foreman grill that Raekwon holds on to like it's his most prized possession at this point, child. Eeyore was cooking naked and said, I don't give a damn who got something to say about it. Now you got jumped. Now, you know, grandma got to drive the bus now. That, you know, those are great comical moments that we know won't last long because the guys are headed for trouble. For one, we have Dennis getting extremely close to Karina. I understand that she is maybe a video girl or a dancer, and she is spending a whole lot of time on this tour bus. Now, unlike our other group members, you know, except for Method Man, because we ain't gonna see nothing but him talking about his wife. Like, I love my girl. Who, me? I wasn't doing nothing on the tour bus. It was everybody else. Even though we have everybody else surrounding him, you know, we're going from city to city, and we are collectively, you know, having groupies or different girls on the bus. He has continued to keep this one particular woman in his presence. He is talking to her, sharing his life, talking about Shuri, just talking about so much. Had the nerve to say, you know, like, you're all, you know, in my orbit, you know, since he's the freaking sun. I knew he was up to no good when he said that he was the sun. The way that we have Dennis' whole personality just straight up changing because he has come into some money is crazy. Like, this is not the Dennis that we know from way back when. Dennis not only, you know, getting into the gaudy jewelry and the robes, and I'm sure, you know, the other flashiness that we will get into later, but him just feeling like he is the sun and we're getting into this orbit in the solar system. You are, you know, my earth. You're, you know, my rock, my heart, my family, my baby mama at home. And then here on the road, you know, I have my on the road girl, my on the road wife. You are my Mars, my Venus. Like, excuse me? This really puts Bobby in a compromising position. We have to remember that not too long ago, you guys were on the low. Keep it on low ski. I'm the lowest of the lowest. You guys were low. You guys were sneaking around because we didn't want Bobby and Divine to find out, you know, that I was dating his baby sister. You know, we were sneaking around, having sex in the house, going on secret dates. But now that you guys were out in the open, Shuri has had a baby, and I have respectfully, you know, because they were mad at first. Like, Dennis, you know, how could you? This is my sister. But not only did I accept it, I am expecting you to take care of my sister. We're not doing that. We out here sleeping and talking with other females, and Divine is like, well, you know, it's just business. Everything's cool. Like, she knows about it. Does she? What all does Shuri know about? Like, it's so crazy to see Shuri kind of go into being just a complacent stay at home. Like, whatever you do on the road, you just leave it there. I'm always going to be here. Just respect me when you come back here. I'm sure that if that was the case and she does know about it to a certain extent, yeah, if you want to, you know, just fuck on whoever, he know where home is. Like, no, he is creating a whole on the road girlfriend relationship with Karina. And I know that that is not what Shuri has expected. But from the Shuri that we know, who was, you know, really book savvy, really intelligent, studious about her studies, like, she had, you know, her own dreams, goals, and ambitions. Like, is that just gone? Like, ain't no more of that Shuri? All right. We also have Mook looking out for Mook, which is creating all of this tension as far as Ghostface and Raekwon is concerned. And then we get into poor little U-God. I'm starting to feel sorry for U-God. Like, we already have U-God just, you know, kind of feeling some type of way because he knows that I'm not, you know, that viewpoint in this group, everybody has kind of manifested something to make themselves stand out in a different way. And even if they didn't, they have really strong personalities and, charisma, solo albums coming up. Whereas, myself and Inspect the Deck, we are just, made to be back here looking like, when is my album gonna come out? But even with that, Inspect the Deck is on numerous of songs, and then you have you God just sitting there kind of waiting his turn. So when you tell me some shit like, oh, you're gonna go here with this one, and yeah, Matthew, you're gonna go with you God, like, why are you sending me with Matt? Why are you sending me with Matt? Somebody like Matt, he needs to be with somebody who can match his energy and be just as, rambunctious. And you gonna send him with Matt, you might as well send him with Old Dirty Bastard. Like, when and where do I fit into this dynamic? I was like, damn, y'all should have sent him with Genius or something, like. Not Method Man. He is completely feeling bothered, at which we see him start to kind of act out. Not only does he skip the interview, but he, takes it in on the tour bus, things that he knew that he wasn't supposed to do. But you see that the intensity is rising and you God is bothered. And then on top of all of that, my small son is shot and he is ready to retaliate. I love how you God said what he said. Like, you guys, I am on probation. I can't be caught with any weapons. Please don't bring any guns on this bus. Why are you looking at me? You know I'm looking at you, Dennis, because you are always prepared and packing. At which, towards the end of the episode, we have him take Dennis's gun and he is clearly ready to go retaliate and probably get himself into some more trouble. But even before that, when we get into the argument as far as positions within the group, breakdowns with the money, who deserves what, whose album is gold and platinum, Bobby, why do you have the whole half back of the goddamn bus? Like, who's playing their role, playing their position? First of all, I was like, y'all sleep, because Bobby is on production on every goddamn song. So if you really want to get into who's getting paid, it's Bobby. But when we have them going, like y'all talking about Master Killer only being on 2 songs, you God only on 2 songs. So what that mean? He should get a smaller cut, right? Like, wow. Like, we just gonna throw you God underneath the tour bus. I really didn't like how Bobby went about discussing the breakdown as far as money. It's just like, I'm cool with it. I just feel like everybody needs to get paid. But Ray has a problem. Like, no, there needs to be something said. It's not just about me having a problem. I don't have a problem with the initial breakdown. I'm saying when we signed and we became a group, Master Killer was not here. He's just here. He showed up, I up with him or whatever. But what the breakdown is, where my money is going, and what the split is going to be every time. Like, that just was not fair in my opinion. And I'm like, Bobby wants to pick and choose when he wants to display, authority and make group decisions. But as soon as it's a problem that, you're the source of, I'm cool with it, like whatever. I just feel like we all need to be, be fair and be equally. And then we have this slippery slope being created within the group dynamic of, Meth has the platinum album, ODB, they're, bringing them in. Even with that, this is not the separate Meth tour. This is not the separate ODB tour. It's all of us collectively, and the breakdown needs to be proper. But if we did what most groups do, as far as who's doing the most writing, who's on more songs, who's on production, and money is split that way. Like, the way that the group dynamic is, it's always going to be one person who is maybe on more songs, like we have Inspector Dango, or I'm on like the whole freaking album, and like shouldn't I get paid more? Like, it's just always going to be an issue. So much stuff had to happen before they went on tour, before they signed it. Like, everything here is just so rushed and so problematic. To see them be just so fractured as a group right off the back is sad. Because if we don't split everything equally and we don't discuss everything as a group, and we go off of this new logic that the group is trying to come up with as far as who has top billing, we get into albums like Iron Man, Takao, Only Built for Cuban Links, Liquid Swords, Return is 36 Chambers. All of those albums came out around the exact same time. So it's always going to be somebody up here who we feel like is bringing the crowd in more. The thing is, we want things split individually when we are on tour. But if you are on your own separate tour and you are promoting your own album, that's your money to keep. But right now, we are on tour as Wu-Tang, and we need to respect that, Bobby. Don't try to sling all the mud my way and be like, well, you know, Ray got a problem. I just feel like, no, Master Killer was not a part of the group initially. That is all I'm saying. And then if you want to keep it all the way 100, we can sell a whole lot and tour, you know, massively as Wu-Tang. Some of us are built to go out and tour individually and promote individual albums, and then some of us are not. Even though we could take somebody like, you know, Method Man, who can, you know, do it by himself, and he has all the charisma in the world, and you even see here in this episode, like, I don't care about no breakdown. I still get a little extra money on the back end anyway, just based off of who I am and my album being hot right now. Like, yeah, everybody is kind of thinking about themselves and having their own kind of little side hustles, but as we have somebody with a platinum album who can go out and maybe tour by themselves, we have an ODB, you on stage and you are slurring every single word. We can't, you know, it ain't about the words and the rhymes, it's about the feeling. Yeah, you high. You are about to, you know, go down, and it's messing up your artistry getting involved in these drugs. We could never send an artist like an ODB out on his own tour individually. And then you have somebody like You God, who is not, you know, a strong presence as far as the group is concerned. You don't have an individual album. You can go out on your own. Like, they all really low-key collectively needed each other, but we are starting to see these egos grow, attitudes commence, you know, business not being right, money being broke down all kind of different ways. Stuff is about to hit the fan, and then we are about to sprinkle in some East Coast West Coast type of beef via this, you know, magazine article. Not even that, but just the tensions rising. I think we're going to get into the Biggie Tupac situation, and that is going to be interesting to see. But there is so much about to happen, and I'm looking forward to it. Well, you guys, that was my review for Wu-Tang and American Saga Season 3, Episode 4. Please drop down and tell me what you thought about my review and what you thought about this episode so far, because they get real extra. The show is getting good. I look forward so much to reading you guys' comments. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff, because it helps me out. I see you guys next time for my next review. Bye.